Sound to your mind.
Breathe. I stay quiet as I light on my loud light. Breathe. I balance diet, I'm just trying to get my pounds right. Breathe. I stay quiet as I light on my loud light. Breathe. I balance diet, I'm just trying to get my pounds right. Shouts all on my team, I need more than a mattress support in my dreams. Could grab a few Zeds like I'm falling asleep, but I don't wanna wake for the morning. Grief, breathe. Tears drop to the form in the sea. A broke heart, but it's worn in my sleeve. Never listened, I was warned in my teens, but I still skip school, I was taught in the streets. Ring back, don't call for police. Stand tall, don't fall for the beast. Got issues with trust, so I'm born to believe. We've been a victim of love and now we're caught in it deep. Breathe.
Yes, people, what's happening? And welcome back to Gav Goes In. Big up yourselves for coming through. Big up to I Am Titanium. And listen, obviously game yesterday, you know, I didn't watch the game properly because we was doing our Chelsea all-time 11. But again, listen, Man United picking up a draw. I said before the game, United would draw the game, you know, against Bournemouth. Not because United weren't capable of beating Bournemouth, but I always did think it would be a tough game. But we have to say, man, you know, and it's a damning indictment really on the Premier League, man, just how poor this Premier League is. You know, you got a poor Premier League, poor officials, and that culminated yesterday in what happened in the game. You know, the fact that Ahmad wasn't given the penalty, and then the same guy that gave away the penalty went up the other end and more or less was involved in Brighton getting in Bournemouth getting a penalty. Just tells you all you need to know, really, you know. And this is why, man, the Premier League is a problem, man. It's in a very bad place, man. But it is what it is. Big up to Titanium, says happy to see Cobby back. Yeah, listen, man. Crazy. Obviously, we are going to discuss the England's 35-man squad, and I think, yeah, man, this is going to be interesting because if we go through the players that were picked, I mean, you know, I don't think there's really too many surprises, but in terms of the omissions, we're going to see what's going on, you know. But Danny Welbeck, funny enough, you know, Danny Welbeck's got 2 against Liverpool. And again, Danny Welbeck's the top highest scoring Englishman in the Premier League. And again, he's a guy that's been overlooked. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy, but we'll have to see what happens. Big up to Babs One Diva. Big up to Foxy Danny as well. Big up yourselves for coming through. Guys, make sure we are smashing the likes. Make sure we are subbing to the channel if you're new in here. And again, keep your questions and comments coming through as well. And we are going to discuss, obviously, England's 35-man squad that Thomas Tuchel did pick. Big up to my guy Fitz each and every time as well. Big up yourself, bro. Guys, hope everyone's enjoying their weekend as well. You know, obviously, sun's out. As they say, sun's out, guns out. I don't think it's that weather yet, but listen, man, it's looking good. And let's hope it continues, man, because I'm looking forward to this summer. Obviously, World Cup, you know, and I think it's going to be good, man. So, yeah, big up to everyone. Does Stuart Atwell have an issue with us? I'm not too sure. I'm not going to go as far and say, does Atwell have an issue with United? I just think the Premier League referees now and VAR is an absolute disgrace, and it has been for a while, you know. So I'm not really surprised that a lot of the nonsense that's going on, you know. Again, Fitz did show me something the other day in terms of, you know, something that I didn't really believe was possible, yeah. And it was a case of, you know, the Premier League would like, you know, a different winner every 6 years. When I'm hearing that, that just tells me all I need to know about what is going on with Premier League football, because the officiating, the VAR, the style of football, everything's an absolute joke, man. So is what it is. Big up to Exedra, big up my guy each and every time for coming through. And yeah, as I said, man, it's mad. Yeah, listen, Welbeck's been on fire, bro. He has got 2 goals against Liverpool. Just watching the game now. Highest goal scoring Englishman, but yet he gets overlooked. So it is what it is, man. You know, could it be another Andy Cole situation? Who knows? Big up to Active L's first time in the chat. Says Welbeck has had no luck in his career, deserves a call up. He does. He does. I think when you look at Danny Welbeck, again, he's another player that I would go as far and say is criminally underrated and good save, and disrespected, because Danny Welbeck's one of the best strikers in this Premier League. You know, he's one of the best strikers in this Premier League. I think when people look at the best strikers in this league, Danny Welbeck's name will get overlooked because he's been around for a while. You know, again, another guy that come through United's youth academy, and again, a guy that deserved to be in United's first team. And just have a look at the players that Danny Welbeck was up against as well. So, man, he's just showing what he's got. As I said, second highest goal scoring English player to Harry Kane, but the highest goal scoring English player in the Premier League, and yet he gets overlooked. You know, but we are going to go through that anyway. Yeah, listen, we are going to get through to the England squad. Big up to Mamba, guys as well. Make sure you come through tomorrow. So live watch along for Man City and Arsenal. So I'll be live at 4:15 for 4:30 kickoff. So yeah, again, if you're an Arsenal fan and you want to come and you want to jump on the stream and do the watch along, then just let me know. Obviously, I can send you the link because it'd be good to get an Arsenal fan. Obviously, these guys are confident of beating Man City. So let's see, man. So yeah, if you want to jump on, just let me know. Let's see. But guys, anyway, let's get on to it because obviously England's 35-man squad that was chosen by Thomas Tuchel. And the thing is, yeah, I was actually looking forward to seeing what players he's going to pick. And there has been a few comments that have come out from Tuchel saying that, you know, even if you're looking at the number 10 position, you know, there's going to be a few players that are going to be disappointed. And again, we are going to go through them because I think the 35-man squad for the friendlies against Uruguay and Japan is more or less, you know, because we all know the players that are going to go, but this is more or less going to be what players can surprise Tuchel, in my opinion, you know. And if you're looking at the number 10 position, he more or less, and this is what I kind of knew anyway, yeah. I think that he's going to go for more multifunctional players. And again, we're going to go through the whole squad, and I'm going to tell you my definite starters or definite players in the squad, and I'm going to say to you my players that might miss out, because I think the World Cup squad, if I'm right, I think is 23 players. Yeah, I think it's 23 players. So yeah, you're looking at what 9? Is it 9 players that be left out from that? Yeah, so 8 or 9 players that be left out. And again, we're going to go through it because I just genuinely think here that there's going to be, whether it's fan favorites or whether they're players that are just hyped up in the media, don't be surprised if at least one of them misses out. Yeah, do not be surprised, because as I said, man, I think it's it's gonna be interesting, man. Max Dowman might be on that plane. No, he's not. He's not gonna be. The thing is, Max Dowman, as I said, the clamour for Max Dowman is because of him breaking the record. But the reason why Max Dowman's not gonna go, the reason why Max Dowman's gonna go is not gonna go, because you have to look at where possibly he's gonna play and the players that will have to miss out for him going. And that's not going to happen. Yeah. I think the very fact as well that there is, because I just realized the name that's not in there. Morgan Gibbs-White's not even in there. And again, Morgan Gibbs-White has been a regular in the squad under Tuchel. He's not even in there. Yeah. So that's crazy. That is actually crazy. I'm sure there's more than 23 this time around, Gav. I'm not too sure, but normally I think it's 23 players that are part of the squad. I don't think it'll be more than that, if I'm honest. If anyone else knows, then again, throw that in the chat. But I'm pretty sure there's 23 players. But anyway, let's go through the squad, and then we'll go through the definite players in this that'll be on the plane. So again, goalkeepers, Dean Henderson, Jordan Pickford, Aaron Ramsdale, Jason Still, and James Trafford. Defenders, Dan Burn, Mark Guehi, Lewis Hall, Esri Konsa, Tino Livramento, Harry Maguire, Nico O'Reilly, Jarrell Quansah, Jed Spence, John Stones, Fikayo Tomori. And again, there's players that are out injured. So Reece James will definitely come back into that if he proves his fitness. Midfielders, Elliot Anderson, Jude Bellingham, James Garner, Jordan Henderson, Kobbie Mainoo, Cole Palmer, Declan Rice, Morgan Rogers, Adam Walton. And then the forwards, you've got Jared Bowen, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Eberechi Eze, Phil Foden, Anthony Gordon, Captain Harry Kane, Noni Madueke, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, and Dominic Solanke. Yeah. So again, I think if it is 23 players that we're working with, yeah, because I'm pretty sure, guys, if anyone can check, is it 23 players that are in the World Cup squad? So that way we will know how much players that need to be cut from the squad. Okay, so if it is 23, obviously, yeah, we're looking. I say 8 earlier. We're looking at 12 players being cut. If it is 23 players, so if anyone can check, man. If anyone can check, let me know in the chat, man. If it's definitely 23, I'm pretty sure it is. But let's go on to the goalkeepers anyway. Yeah, because I think it's 26 players. Clockenders, can you confirm that, bro? Is it 26 players for the squad? Big up, man. Is it 26 players? Definitely. Okay. Okay. So one second, watching this. Oh. Yeah, okay. So if it's 26 players, obviously we're looking at cutting 9 players. Okay, so we'll go through them anyway. It must have changed recently because it was 23 before, but is what it is. So goalkeepers, Dean Henderson, Jordan Pickford, Ramsdale, Steele, and Trafford, yeah? So I think if we pick the definite 2, yeah, because obviously they're going to take 3 keepers, yeah? So we know that Pickford's going to be the number 1, and then second to him will be Dean Henderson. So those 2 are definitely on the plane to America for the World Cup, yeah? Now, you're looking at the third goalkeeper, which is obviously going to be between Ramsdale, Steele, and Trafford. Now, personally, I think Jason Steele has no chance of going. I think he's just someone that's going because he's an English keeper, decent with the ball at his feet. But again, Bart Verbruggen is ahead of him for Brighton, you know. So I think he's just someone that just got brought in, you know, if there's any emergency defenders that need to be called upon. So for me, Jason Steele's out of it, which means you're looking at between Ramsdale and James Trafford. Now, I think James Trafford personally might be a defender for the future a goalkeeper for the future for England. I think he's going to be the future number 1 once Pickford retires. You know, he'll be batting it out with Dean Henderson. But I think long term, I think it could be him. But the problem is Trafford's obviously not playing because he's behind Donnarumma. He is going to play tomorrow, though, in the Carabao Cup final. So again, that could be a good showcase to show what he's got. But then Aaron Ramsdale now is arguably Newcastle's number 1 ahead of Nick Pope. And the fact that Nick Pope hasn't been called up, you know, Nick Pope, again, was someone. Wait, what's going on there? Yeah, Nick Pope, again, was someone that was a regular in the squad. You know, he was arguably number 2 to Pickford. To think that Nick Pope's nowhere near the squad and he's now behind 5 other goalkeepers just shows you the drop off of him. And obviously he had a mad injury as well. But I think Ramsdale goes because Ramsdale is playing now, you know, and Trafford obviously is getting cup, you know, Carabao Cup, FA Cup. So I think based on that, I think the 3 keepers will be Henderson, Pickford, and Ramsdale. And I think the only way the likes of Trafford might force his way in is if he gets game time against Uruguay and Japan. And, you know, he just puts on a clinic of a performance that gives him a chance under Tuchel. Titanium reckons that Trafford, I think they'll give still the role they gave Heat in Qatar. But again, I don't know, because if you're looking at experience, yeah, Pickford's experience, Henderson's experience, and then you're looking at Ramsdale's experience as well. But the problem is, if you're saying Trafford's gonna go, I'm not too sure. If Trafford was playing regularly for Man City, he would definitely be on the plane for me. But he's not playing regularly, whereas Ramsdale is number one for Newcastle right now. And I don't believe they'll give Jason Still, you know, the third place keeper just because of his experience to go and do the Tom Heaton role. I don't think they'll do that. Again, under Gareth Southgate, that was probably a thing, not under Thomas Tuchel. I think Tuchel will go with 3 keepers, which is what every nation's going to do anyway. And I think he's going to go with a mixture of experience and obvious. So I think Pickford, Henderson, and Ramsdale will be the 3. Moving on to the defenders. Now, this is interesting, yeah, because as I said, Reece James is not in the squad, obviously due to injury, but I believe Reece James will be fit, hopefully, for the World Cup. And if Reece James is fit, then Reece James just starts, no doubt, yeah. But if you look at, obviously, the omission from the, well, not an omission, someone that hasn't been called up. Someone mentioned it earlier, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, I think to a lot of people, yeah, Trent not being called up is a shock, but it's not a shock, because international football, yeah, is about you're playing up against the very best that other countries have to offer. Now, if you look at Trent, yeah, for instance, Trent Alexander-Arnold, we all know as a technician, he is very good from set pieces, from delivery, in possession. But in international football, you need to be an actually good defender, because a lot of the times in international football, you will be isolated 1 against 1. And if you're coming up against the likes of France, the likes of Brazil, the likes of, you know, the Germanys, you know, the Brazil, Argentinas, the France, the Spains, you are going to be isolated, you know, a lot more than you would be in Premier League football, you know. So this is where his individual defending will come into it. And I believe that if you look at the options at right back, and this is without Reece James, who's out injured, you look at Livramento, you look at Jed Spence as well. They're the 2 right backs that are there, other than Reece James. But Reece James will come back into it if he is fit. Now, if you look at Tino Livramento, yeah, Livramento has pace. He's good defensively and attacking wise. And you'd more trust him, you know, if he's isolated 1 against 1. Let's say if he's up against a Vinicius Junior or an Mbappe, you know, or let's say trying to think of the wingers as such in Mitoma. What's he doing there? Oh, he missed it. Should have been 3-1. So again, if Trent's up against those type of wingers, yeah, then there's a problem. But with Livramento, because he's got the pace and the defensive nous to kind of deal with them players better, this is why he gets the nod. Not to mention, Livramento can also play left back. So this is where the multifunctional player will come into it. You know, Livramento and Jed Spence can both play left back and right back. And it's going to be an asset because, you know, depending on who you're coming up against, let's say, for instance, England play as Spain. We all know that Yamal likes to cut in. And you might even see Thomas Tuchel play with Spence or Livramento at left back to nullify Yamal coming inside. I mean, Yamal's a player that on his day, you can't stop him because he's just that good. But I think Tuchel will probably go with something like that, you know, to help nullify a player like that. So this is where I think Tuchel's looking at. So you've got Livramento and you've got Jed Spence as the right back options that can play left back as well. So they make themselves highly, you know, versatile and a certainty for the squad. I think the ones that are definitely going to go, just so we get them out of the way, the ones that are definitely going to go, Mark Guay, he's going to go. He's going to be a starter for England as well. I'm looking at John Stones is a weird one because John Stones is experienced. You know, he's arguably one of England's best defenders, but he hasn't been playing. So it depends what Tuchel's looking for. If Tuchel's looking for experience at the back, then John Stones might go. And the fact that Harry Maguire has been called back as well, again, it is a 35-man squad. And I just believe that it's a case of him looking at what players will do what in these friendlies, you know. But I'm looking at this whole all these defenders right now. I can only make a case for 2 players that are definitely going to go. Well, maybe 3 actually. The 3 players for me that are definitely going. Sorry, I'm going to say 4. The 4 players for me that are definitely going are Mark Guehi, Ezri Konsa, Lewis Hall, and Nico O'Reilly. I think those 4 players are 100% part of the squad. Mark Guehi obviously is England right now is England's best centre back, so he's definitely going and he's going to be a starter. Ezri Konsa for me, I think Ezri Konsa is one of England's best defenders as well. I think him and Mark Guehi, start together for the first game. I'll be very surprised if it's anyone else. And then you got Lewis Hall, who's arguably the best left back in the Premier League right now on current form. And then you've got Nico O'Reilly again. Nico O'Reilly is a midfielder, but O'Reilly has shown how good he is as a left back and in midfield. And again, he's going to go because of his versatility, which is what I believe Tuchel will definitely be looking at. So I think those 4 players for me are definitely on the plane. Dan Burn's in there because again, he's someone that can play part as a back 3. You know, if you want to play a 4, centre back or left back. So again, he makes himself available because he's versatile. You know, obviously he's got aerial dominance as well. You know, he's experienced. You know, probably a leader there as well. So I think he puts himself into that contention. And then you've got Maguire, who's back in the fold. But do I think Maguire goes? I'm not so sure. I'm not sure if Maguire goes, if I'm honest. Quansah, again, I mean, I watched the first half, Arsenal by Leverkusen, and Quansah was poor playing part of a back 3. But again, if Tuchel wants to play a back 3, he's an option. And then you got Fikayo Tomori. Again, Tomori hasn't been called up for how long? But he's back in there. But I think Tomori falls into the Harry Maguire fold. You know, these guys have been called up because it's a 35-man squad. And it's going to be a case where these guys are going to have to put on a display in the friendlies if they get an opportunity and show Tuchel that they deserve to be part of the squad. But I think other than that, it's difficult really because he's going to go for multifunctional players. And I'm looking at from this list of Dan Burn, Guehi, Lewis Hall, Konsa, Livramento, Maguire, O'Reilly, Quansah, Spence, Stones, and Tomori. I think the ones that will miss out from this squad are Jarell Quansah, I think Quansah misses out. I think Tomori's going to miss out. And I think it's either going to be between Harry Maguire and John Stones that misses out. But again, when you put Reece James into the fold, if Reece James is back fit, then again, you're looking at probably, because I don't think Tomori or what's his name, Quansah are going to go. I don't think they're going to go because I think John Stones might go for his experience. Harry Maguire, I think, is in there because probably of an injury. But if it was me, I would pick Stones or Maguire ahead of Dan Burn. But again, Dan Burn's been playing and he's left-footed. So again, he might look at that as a opportunity to play Dan Burn in there. Guys, let me just go on to some of the questions and comments. Big up to Exedra, bro. Didn't even actually realize you was in there, man. But big up to yourself. I know it's mad time as well, man. But big up yourself for coming through each and every time. Let me see. Gav, will you watch Brazil versus France on Thursday night? Bro, I never even knew they were playing, but 100% I'm watching that. 100%. Like, these are the kind of games that I like to watch. You know what I mean? Two of the best nations in the world and seeing how they do. You know? So, yeah, 100% I'll be watching that. What time is that on anyway? So I'm definitely going to try and get that, man. No doubt. No doubt. Let's see. Is that 8 o'clock? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. 100% watching that, man. Yeah. I mean, when it's games like that, man, you have to watch, man. There's no excuse. You know, Brazil and France, 100%. You know, and I think those two teams there, I wouldn't be surprised if those two teams, if they avoid each other, meet somewhere in the semi-final. You know what I mean? But yeah, just going back to what we were saying. So if I'm looking at Reece James coming back into the fold, yeah. Because if I'm looking at Livramento and Spence, who can both play left back, but are both right backs, is Tuchel going to take 3 right backs? That's the thing. So would one of them miss out? Because I think O'Reilly and Lewis Hall definitely go as the 2 left backs. But I think Tomori misses out. As I said, I think Quansah will miss out. And then you're looking at between Stones and Maguire, I think, to miss out. Because I think Dan Burn goes, whether that's right or not. Midfielders, guys. Midfielders. Now, obviously, you got Elliot Anderson, Jude Bellingham, James Garner, obviously receiving his first call-up. Henderson, Cobby's back in there. Cole Palmer, Declan Rice, Rodgers, and Walton. Yeah. So for me, the definites that are going are Elliot Anderson, Declan Rice. Them 2 are definitely going, yeah. And I believe Jordan Henderson goes as well for his experience, because if I'm looking at this England team now, Leber just surging through this midfield. If I look at this England team now, and I'm looking at the experience that the players have got, I'm looking at Henderson, Pickford, Ramsdale, but they're all keepers. Burn, Guehi, Konsa, possibly John Stones or Maguire. They're the ones that are the most experienced from what we've gone through, yeah? So I'm going to say he takes experience. Do I believe Henderson should go because of just the experience? I don't. Because if it means that you're going to miss out on one of the key midfielders, you know, I think that could be a mistake, because there is experience in the squad anyway. But I think Anderson and Declan Rice are definitely going. And I think Tuchel starts both of them in the first game. And as I said, I think Henderson's on there as well. Morgan Rodgers, for me, will be there as well. Oh, what a save. Morgan Rodgers will be there as well. And then we move on to Cole Palmer's going to be there if he stays fit as well. So that means you're looking at Adam Walton, Kobbie Mainoo, Jimmy Garner, James Garner, and Jude Bellingham. Yeah. Now, if we're being serious, yeah, and you guys probably going to know where I'm going with this, yeah, and this is why it was key what Tuchel said in the press conference, yeah. Tuchel actually alluded to that. Didn't he say something like you can't have 5 players that are all going to be vying for the number 10 position, you know? And what I would say, just based off of that, yeah, is, and people probably won't like this, yeah, but I'll be very surprised if Jude Bellingham goes, just based on that. Because I know Gibbs White's not in the squad. And that probably just spells the end for Gibbs White really going to the World Cup. But if I'm looking at all the players that can play as a number 10, you've got Foden, you've got Eberechi Eze, but they're part of the forwards list. So whether Tuchel sees them as more forwards, I don't know, yeah? But you got Foden, Eze, Palmer, Rodgers. And even if you want to put a Cobby in there as well, these guys can all play in a number 10 position. Yeah. Now, this is why I look at Jude Bellingham, yeah, as someone, is Jude Bellingham needed for an England squad based on what he's going to offer? This is why I'm keeping it consistent. He's not. Because you're not going to play Jude Bellingham as part of a midfield 2. And there's better options playing as a number 10 than Jude Bellingham. Yeah. For me personally, Kobe has to go because Kobe, in terms of the profile of player that Kobe is, you know, a pure footballer, you're only probably looking at an equal to him as like an Adam Wharton. Like, as we know, Declan Rice is going to be starting. So Elliot Anderson, they'll be starting the first game. And I think I've always said Kobe Manu, Adam Wharton, Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson as a 4. You can't go wrong there. The reason why James Garner really is not going to go, because again, he's going to be in the Fikayo Tomori boat, yeah, where they're going to have to do something outstanding, yeah, to even be considered. But James Garner has shown that he can play right back as well. But I think the fact that Livramento and Jed Spence are both right backs anyway, I think it's one of them things where Garner's just part of the squad, but he's not really going to go. You know, he has got set piece delivery as well. You know, and if I'm looking at set piece deliveries in this squad, you'd probably say he's the best one. You know, people might say Declan Rice, but James Garner's got very good set pieces. So, and again, Reece James is out injured, so maybe that might be a thing. But from that list there, out of all those midfielders, if I'm looking at 2 players that probably won't go, I'm looking at Garner and Bellingham. That's the truth. Because Anderson, Henderson for his experience, Kobe has to go for me. Cole Palmer will be there. Declan Rice will be there. Rodgers will be there. And then Adam Wharton has to go for me because of his ability in the midfield. So if I'm going to cut 2 players from this England squad, and if we're being realistic, it kind of has to be James Garner and Jude Bellingham, because Garner can play right back and midfield, but there's players ahead of him for both positions. And if you're going to play Bellingham as a 10, there's other players there that are more multifunctional, which means that Bellingham could miss out, guys. And I think people need to wake up to the fact. The only reason if Bellingham, gets picked for this squad is due to media pressure. And I just hope that Tuchel doesn't buckle under media pressure and picks what's best for the squad. Because I'm looking at all the options there, and really, he doesn't deserve to go based on what he's shown. Obviously, he's out injured as well. I think he's back in the squad. But unless he has a great end to the season, why would you take Jude Bellingham? It's the truth. People don't want to hear it, but again, I'm going to tell you the truth, man, because there's no reason to lie. If he goes, it's only going to be due to media pressure, not because he's that good. It's the truth, yeah? And then we look at the forwards. Jared Bowen, Calvert-Lewin, Eze, Foden, Gordon, Kane, Madueke, Rashford, Saka, Solanke. And this is even more the reason, guys, why I think Jude Bellingham doesn't go. Because if I'm looking at the number 10s that are a part of the forwards, Eze and Foden, these guys are multifunctional. Eze can play as a 10 from the left. Foden can play as a 10 or from the right. Bellingham can only really play, and he's not even a number 10 anyway, but he can only play that position and not to a level, which means that he becomes less reliant if you're looking at bringing multifunctional players. Yeah. But just based on that, who are the definite players that are going to go in this squad in the forwards list? Obviously, Harry Kane's the captain. He's there. Bukayo Saka's going to go. And then I think you're looking at Anthony Gordon. I think Anthony Gordon will go as well. Yeah. Jared Bowen, for me, I think it's a straight battle between Bowen and Madueke. Yeah. And I think Bowen should go because Bowen's very underrated. And again, if you're looking at Bowen, Bowen's going to be happy to be a bench player, coming off the bench, having an impact. And he's got goals in him as well. So I think Thomas Tuchel will look at Bowen as an impact sub, someone that can come off the bench, change the course of a game. You know, he'll just keep running. And, you know, if he gets a chance, you know, you would be confident, you know, that he does get a goal. Oh, that's nasty. You would be confident that he does get a goal. So I think Bowen definitely goes. Eze is going to go for me as well because, again, if you're looking at the left wing options, he's obviously going to go with either Rashford, Gordon, or playing an Eze out there. So do I think Rashford and Gordon both go? I think they do. And I'm basing it on if Rashford and Gordon both go, Eze will go, but it even means even more that the likes of a Bellingham won't go. Yeah. So, and guys, I said this at the start, yeah. I think Phil Foden misses out. You know, I don't think Phil Foden goes. Because for England to bring Phil Foden, yeah, it's gonna mean that, because remember, if you remember before, yeah, the last internationals, Foden was playing as a false nine. And what that told me, yeah, was that Foden's not going to be a starter. He's just going to be Harry Kane's backup. Yeah. Now, if you've got Calvert-Lewin in the squad and you think that Danny Welbeck, who should have been there, you think of Danny Welbeck that should have been there. Would Thomas Tuchel risk taking Foden as a false nine to not bring a Welbeck or even a Calvert-Lewin or a Solanke that's in the squad? I'm not too sure. Even though Phil Foden as a footballer, he's a top footballer, but I think Foden's not a starter for Man City. And would Tuchel risk bringing a player just because, you know? So yeah, I think personally, yeah, from this list there, I think Bowen, Eze, Gordon, Kane, Saka, they're definitely going, yeah. I think Rashford goes as well, which means there's one place that I'm looking at, and I think it might be a backup striker to Harry Kane. So you're looking at Solanke, Madueke, and Calvert-Lewin. Yeah, one place between those. The reason I think Madueke misses out, but I do think Tuchel likes Madueke, yeah. But if you've got Saka, who's probably going to start, yeah, and then you've got the likes of Cole Palmer again, who plays on the right and can play as a 10. Not to mention you've got Jared Bowen who plays on the right as well. There's no need for Madueke, in my opinions. And then you got Foden, who I think Foden is not going to go, can also play out on the right as well. So for me, I'm looking at him looking at a striker, and it could be a Calvert-Lewin or Solanke, because I don't think Madueke goes unless, again, Madueke shows in these friendlies, you know, what he can do. And again, when I'm saying what he can do, it's going to have to be a case where Madueke outshines Saka in these friendlies to show Tuchel that he needs to be looked at seriously for me. So yeah. So guys, just going through it again before going to your questions and comments. Yeah. So for me, the players that are going to miss out for England are going to be Jason Still and James Trafford. Jarell Quansah, Fikayo Tomori. And if Reece James comes back into it, it depends, because I don't know if he's going to take 3 right backs. If Reece James comes back into it, then I'm going to say Harry Maguire probably misses out. So I think he might take John Stones. So again, that's 5 players, yeah? And so I've got 4 more. The midfielders that are going to miss out: James Garner, 6. Jude Bellingham, 7. Which means there's 2 more spaces that are going to be left out. And I'm going to say the players that miss out from here is going to be Phil Foden, Noni Madueke. Wait, Noni Madueke. So wait, 26 players is 9, yeah? Because I think he takes 1 more striker. So I think Solanke might miss out. So Solanke, Madueke, Foden, Garner, Bellingham, Tomori, Quansah, Maguire, Still and Trafford. That's 10 players. So are we sure it's 26 guys? Are we sure? But I think those players are missing out. Yeah. Do I believe there's anyone that can gate crash the squad? It's unlikely. I think Danny Welbeck, to be honest with you, you know, he must be gutted that he's not in the squad because, as you mentioned earlier, man, he's a top goal scoring English player right now, in the Premier League. But yeah, man, I don't know really. I don't know, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think as well. Do you think that there's certain players that might miss out? Foden shouldn't go. He's done nothing in an England shirt. I'd rather take Rodgers. Yeah. But again, I'm a fan of Foden as a footballer. But I did say this, yeah. Phil Foden's one of them players, yeah, that he's protected by the English media. And as a footballer, he's a top footballer. But he don't start for Man City. And for England, whether people like it or not, man, he's behind a few players. It's the truth. So and I'll be very surprised if he does go, because the options that England have that can do what he does, when you're looking at a Cole Palmer, means to me that he shouldn't really be on the plane. And then the thing is, where are you going to play him? You know, because are you going to risk taking him as a false nine and not taking another striker to be back up to Harry Kane? I can't see that happening. So, again, Rodgers is in contention to start. This is the thing. Rodgers is in contention to start for England in the World Cup in the first game. If I'm looking at Tuchel's first game, yeah, if everyone's fit, I reckon he starts Saka, Rodgers, and Gordon or Rashford as the three behind Harry Kane. I think that's what he does. So I think Rodgers is definitely on the plane. I know he's having a poor end at the moment because he's not really getting much GA, but I think Tuchel does like him, so I think he'll be there. But again, a lot of the players, if you look at this squad, yeah, who are the players that are actually in form for England right now? I'm looking at, goalkeepers. You got Pickford, Henderson, Ramsdale, all in decent form. Dan Burn, Guehi, they're in decent to good form. Lewis Hall's in very good form. Conser's in decent form. Livermento's just come back from injury. Harry Maguire got sent off yesterday, in decent form. O'Reilly's in good form. Quansah, again, I watched him against Arsenal. He was poor. Jed Spence, I think just come back from injury as well. John Stones doesn't play. And Tomori's obviously playing in Italy in decent form. Anderson's in good form. Benham has been out injured. Garner's in good form. Henderson's in decent form. Cobby's in good form. Cole Palmer's in decent form. Declan Rice is in good form. Morgan Rogers is in decent form. Walton's in good form. Bowen's in good form. Calvert-Lewin's in good form. Eze's in good form. Foden's is in poor form, you would say. Anthony Gordon's in decent form. Harry Kane's in great form. Noni Madueke is in decent form. Rashford is in decent form. Saka is in, I would say, poor form. And Solanke's back from injury. So again, you've got one player for me that is in great form, and it's the captain, Harry Kane. Everyone else in this list there is not in top form. And that's going to be a problem come the World Cup. So we'll have to wait and see what happens near the time. Declan Rice will be starting. Not bad for a player who just runs about, eh? But again, yeah, Declan Rice will be starting. But again, Declan Rice gets lauded up by this country, not because he's a great footballer, because he's more relatable to a lot of these fans that don't know what they're watching. That's the truth. Because Declan Rice runs around and takes a good set piece, it's deemed as enough. You know what I mean? So, again, man, this is what it is. Am I surprised Declan Rice will be starting for England? Not really. Not really. But that more shows the level of player, really, what's going on. That just shows it. Because Cobby's just got back into the team recently for United. and obviously it's evidenced by him being in the squad. Adam Wharton for me would be a starter, but again, he's inexperienced at this level. Elliot Anderson's been good for Forest. So yeah, Declan Rice is going to play because of his experience, the fact Arsenal playing Champions League football, top of the league, all these other things. So again, it's not really a surprise that Declan Rice will be there, but does Declan Rice deserve his start, ahead of other players based on ability? He doesn't. Because I'd look at Elliot Anderson, Kobe Minu, and Adam Wharton. All three of them players have better ability than Declan Rice, but Declan Rice is in there for a different reason, Burnham's PR team will get him on that plane. But again, this is where I'm looking at Thomas Tuchel, because if Tuchel has anything about him, yeah, he'll just ignore the pressure from the media to include Jude Bellingham. Because if he includes Jude Bellingham, he's not going to include Jude Bellingham because Jude Bellingham is just this irreplaceable player. Far from that. There's better options to play in that position. So we're going to see. But again, he's got to get himself back into the Real Madrid team and see how he ends the season. Because I think if anyone thinks that Jude Bellingham is a shoo-in for the England squad, then I don't think he is. But I agree with what Titanium's saying. Maybe his PR team, might be the edge that gets him in there. We'll have to wait and see. Wells has to force his way in. I agree, Fitz, bruv. I agree. I mean, to be fair, the fact that Welbeck here never got called up to the squad, and the very next day he bags 2 goals against Liverpool, Tuchel needs to take that into account. He does, because Welbeck should have definitely been in the squad. No doubt, he should have been in the squad. The thing is, yeah, I can see. The thing is with Noni Madueke, it's a weird one, because Tuchel does like Madueke, but the problem is, yeah, if you look at the competition that he has in that position, because Saka's going to go. He is, yeah. He's going to go. And as I said, you've got Cole Palmer for me. That's going to go as well. That can also play on the right and in the 10. And then you've got Jared Bowen for me, that I think Bowen goes purely because he'll be happy to be as part of the squad. And these things have to be taken into account. And has Madueke done enough to get himself ahead of Bowen? He hasn't for me. For me, he's arguably been more effective than Saka, but Saka's got the name, and he's got the wage, and he's got the experience ahead of Madueke. So that's why Saka goes. And I believe that Tuchel takes 3 left-footed right wingers, and they're going to be Saka, Cole Palmer, and Jared Bowen. That's what I think he does. How many goals has Welb scored now? I think he might have 12 or 13 Premier League goals, I think. Top goal scoring English player in the Premier League. I think he's got 12 or 13 after the 2 today. Big up to Christopher McGrath as well. Big up yourself. Big up, man. England will get knocked out second round. Boy, I mean, the one thing I've always said about England, yeah, whenever England play up against the best nations, you kind of see the level. You know what I mean? Because it's all well and good beating like the Moldovas and the Luxembourgs and the Icelands, the Serbias of this world. It's all well and good doing that, but when it comes to tournament time, when they really need to show up, you kind of see the level. But the group they're in, again, you'd expect them to get through the group, but it just depends who they meet. Because this World Cup, if they're going to meet a Brazil, an Argentina, a Spain, a France, even a Germany, teams like that, this is where you're going to see what England have, because a lot of England's players are hyped up to a level, but you get to see the level when they play up against international teams of that pedigree. Declan Mark Noble. You take Rice in a heartbeat. Don't kid yourself. I wouldn't. I wouldn't take Declan Rice. I wouldn't. The one thing about me is that I'm consistent. Like people can rate Declan Rice, man. Like it's cool, but I don't rate Declan Rice like that. I just think Declan Rice is a good Premier League player. But don't let Sky Sports fool you into thinking he's this absolute world beater. It ain't gonna work on me, man. So he's a good player, but when I start hearing world class, he's not. He's finished the other day. He was very good, by the way. Very good finish. But again, he's just a good Premier League player. But the Premier League is a low level right now. So it's not really a surprise that Declan Rice is shining. It's a low level. Guys, let me know in the chat. Who do you think is going to get dropped from this England squad? Who do you think? So the 35-man squad, who do you think gets dropped? As I said, I think I'm looking at Still, Trafford, Maguire, Quansah, Tomori, Bellingham, Garner, Foden, Madueke, Solanke. They're the names that I'm working with that I think will get dropped from the squad. Is it just the one warm-up game? No, it's two. It's Uruguay and Uruguay and Japan. England are playing Uruguay and Japan. Yeah, Uruguay and Japan they're playing, and then obviously that'll be the last games before the World Cup. Guys, also I got a video coming out today. To the greats of the game that I've been doing. So I got two players coming up. I think one will come out today, one tomorrow. Again, two players, man. Two top players. You know, I can't see any players near to these players in this football, in this era of football now. And this era of football is shocking, as I said, man. It's shocking. Like the Premier League, the fact that the Premier League, you know, if you look at the majority of the Premier League teams in the Champions League, I think that's a good advocate as to as to how far the Premier League has dropped off, because Arsenal and Liverpool got through, but you'd probably say those are the two teams that had the easiest ties. So this is why they got through. But if you look at City, Chelsea, and Newcastle and Tottenham, they all played teams that you would expect to be amongst the teams that might win that will win the Champions League. PSG, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, and Real Madrid. Yeah. So there's a reason why those teams got beat, and there's a reason why the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool won their games. You know, by Leverkusen and Galatasaray. So they're expected to beat them kind of teams, but let's wait and see, man. Are you going to be covering the games, watch-alongs? If so, which teams, Gav? Yeah, listen, when the World Cup starts up, I'm gonna be doing quite a few watch-alongs. So yeah, make sure you guys come and check that out, man. So I'm gonna do a couple of the England ones, but I'm gonna be covering the France games, the Brazil games. So yeah, but yeah, and even I'll be doing a few games. Put it that way. You know, I'll be doing a few. I think all the top teams. You know, you look at the Frances, the Brazils, the Argentinas, the Spains. I'll definitely be doing watch along for them games and the England games as well. So yeah, listen, World Cup watch alongs will definitely be there, man. 100% will definitely be there. So as I said, if you guys wanna come along, then yeah, make sure you're there, man. Wasn't Welbeck coming through at the time you had Van Persie and Falcao? No, he wasn't, man. He was Welbeck was there when we had Rooney. I think it was Rooney. Was it Rooney Berbatov and that he came through? I have to check. Was it Rooney? I think it might have been Rooney. Yeah, Rooney. Yeah, as Spencer just said, yeah, Rooney Berbatov, Rooney and Berbatov. Yeah, that's when Welbeck was there. And again, that just shows you the level of how high it was in comparison. You know. Yeah, exactly. Our strikers in that era were elite. You know what I mean? If anyone remembers as well, yeah, Danny Welbeck, Danny Welbeck started the Champions League game against Real Madrid, I believe, at Old Trafford. I think he started in place of someone, I can't remember who it was, that people were surprised who was on the bench. If anyone remembers that game. Listen, Danny Welbeck was a very good player, man. Underrated player. Guys, who you having? Yeah, who you having? Who you having as the backup to Harry Kane? Welbeck, Calvert-Lewin, Ivan Toney, or Solanke? And again, Ivan Toney's not even in the squad, and Ivan Toney's not there because he's playing in Saudi. Like, but who you guys having? If you think of the attackers, yeah, that we've had at United coming through the academy or playing in the reserves, man, madness, absolute madness. Giuseppe Rossi, Ravel Morrison, Danny Welbeck, Mason Greenwood. You know, if you want to throw in Jesse Lingard and Rashford in there, you know what I mean? Angel Gomez, Paul Pogba, Kobe. Look at the quality that we've had in attacking areas that we've had come out the academy. You know, before that, Chris Eagles, Sylvan Ebanks Blake. You know what I mean? And these guys weren't world beaters, but comparison to what has been coming out recently is crazy, man. So that United result yesterday is not as bad now because Liverpool got beat. And I think, you know what I mean? It's crazy, man. I think Tuchel is definitely on his way, man. Definitely on his way. You got robbed by VAR. Yeah, my guy. I spoke about it earlier today, yeah. The thing with me, yeah, you know what it is, yeah. I'm well and truly like I just want this season over, if I'm honest, because this season's been depressing, man, from having Ruben Amorim in charge to how the team were performing. Obviously, Amorim's now gone, but VAR plays a part in this as well because the officiating, VAR, how the style of football in this country now, it's all a joke, man. So for me, I'm just purely looking forward to the World Cup and just seeing what United do in the summer. That is literally what I'm interested in. But this season, I can't wait for it to end because it's been dead. I ain't gonna lie, man. It's been boring. Like, I can't actually tell you what Premier League game this season that I've actually sat down for 90 minutes and said I've actually enjoyed. Hasn't been one. You know, I'm just looking forward to the Champions League quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the final, and then the World Cup starts. As soon as this Premier League season's out the way, it'll be better, man, because it's been nothing short of crap, man, to be honest. Nothing short of crap. The ref had a draw on his acca. Yeah, listen, it wouldn't surprise me, man. It wouldn't surprise me. But as I said, I'm like, even obviously we was on the stream yesterday, and I obviously I was annoyed in it because, you know, we conceded a penalty when we should have had one up the other end. But again, why are we surprised, man? The officiating in this country is poor. All you have to look at, yeah, is what told me, yeah, that the officiating in this country is not serious, yeah, is when City played Tottenham, yeah, because that could arguably, in the end, you know, again, it's still a way to go, but that could cost Man City because the fact that the referee and VAR didn't give a foul on Mark Guehi for when Solanke kicked him in the back of the calf as to how the ball went in, it just told you everything. It just told you everything because that was an absolute joke, man. Because the goal went in because Solanke wasn't intentional, but he's kicked Guehi in the back of the leg, which meant that you've collided with the player, and that's how the ball went in. But they still managed to give that as a goal. You can't tell me there's a conspiracy going on because that made no sense. You know what I mean? Made no sense. I don't care about 115 FC. I hear it, man. I hear it. But listen, for my sanity, yeah, for my sanity this season, I can't have Arsenal win this league, man, for my sanity, because them guys are doing too much talking, you know? They're doing way too much talking. But if Arsenal win it, again, we shouldn't really be surprised. You know, it's been 7 years. You know, it's about time they do something, you know. But then again, is it a case where Arsenal have been that good or the league's just been shit? And I think it's because the league's been shit. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking at, man, to be honest. There you go, man. All we ask for is consistency. Exactly. The Ahmad one, yeah. The Ahmad one was, in my opinion, it's definitely a foul. Whether it was a bit soft or whether Ahmad went down a bit too easily, technically it's still a foul because you put your hands on him, yeah. But for them to not give that as a foul, but then the Evan Nilsson one, and at the time I said that the fact that Harry Maguire's got his hands on Evan Nilsson, he's given the referee a decision to make, yeah. But the fact that Evan Nilsson just collapsed on the ground and you didn't give the same one for Ahmad, it just tells you that there's something definitely going on here. Because you can't not give the Ahmad one and give the Evan Nilsson one. It's either you don't give both of them, yeah, or you give both of them. It's that simple. But again, man, we shouldn't really be surprised because the standard of officiating in this country is an absolute joke, man. It's been a joke for a while. Let's be honest. It's Leicester season. This. Nah, give Leicester credit, man. Leicester played better football. They actually had stars in their team, like Riyad Mahrez. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think Brentford have dropped off a little bit though. I mean, you know, they let a 2-goal lead slip against Wolves. But again, Wolves are putting up a fight, man. Wolves are definitely going down, but they're not going down without trying, man. That's one thing, you know. Guys, what's your predictions for tomorrow in this Carabao Cup final? I'm going to say City 2-0. I'm going with City 2-0. I think City will get an early goal as well. So, yeah, City 2-0. Let me know your predictions. Two one City fits. Yeah, I'm going 2-0, bro. 2-0, 2-1. Yeah, big up, man. Titanium's going 2-1, 2 corners to 1. I hear it. Playing poor football. We've lost 3 games all season and we're approaching April. Yeah, but clock enders, like losing 3 games all season doesn't mean you've been playing well. That's the difference. You guys have defended well, but the way your team is set up, yeah, there's not really a surprise why your team don't really concede goals because you guys are set up defensively. But that just shows you how poor the league is because attacking wise as a whole, the league's been very poor. But you guys haven't been unbeaten or haven't been beaten because you're just that good. You're good defensively, but your team is set up to be defensive. That's what you need to realize. You know what I mean? And it's one of them things where, again, if you guys do win the league, then it is what it is. But you guys haven't played well all season. Even if you want to be critical against the for the Bayer Leverkusen game, yeah, the first leg that wasn't a penalty on Madueke, nowhere near a penalty. The second leg, yeah, was an absolute joke because I watched the 2 goals that Arsenal scored. Eberechi Eze's goal was class. No taking it away. Declan Rice's finish was very good, yeah. But if you actually watch the build-up, yeah, to both of those goals, you wouldn't say, yeah, that Arsenal just carved Bayer Leverkusen open. You go and watch the goals again. Eze's goal comes because for some reason, the Bayer Leverkusen player away at the Emirates decides to start juggling the ball up in the middle of the park, and then he gets intercepted, and that's how Eze's goal came because he was pissing about in the midfield. Yeah. Then if you look at the goal by Declan Rice, you know, it was a bit of miscommunication in the midfield, and the guy, I think the ball was played into I think it might have been Malik Tillman. It gets nicked, and then Declan Rice, good finish. But again, you're not carving teams open. It's either mistakes from the opposition or set pieces that you guys are scoring. It's just that simple, isn't it? You know what I mean? And that's not hating or nothing like that. That's just the truth. Like, you guys are defensively good because you set up to be defensively good. You know? Why is our Tottenham not good after Son left? Recruitment. I mean, you're missing your 2 best creators. Big up to Little Whitey as well. Mad name. Yeah. So you're missing your 2 best creators in Kulusevski and James Maddison. The recruitment's been poor. You could probably say the appointment of managers has been poor as well. But again, even when Son went, yeah, Son wasn't the Son that he was when he was playing with Harry Kane. Like, Son was getting on and lost his physicality and his pace as well. But this has been coming for Tottenham. It has. I mean, the fact they won with Postecoglou, Why they got rid of Postecoglou in the first place doesn't make any sense, because this is a guy that won you that won you the Europa League, you know. So you should have stuck with him. But there's a lot of factors in it, you know, a lot of factors in it. But yeah, man. Do I believe Tottenham get relegated? I don't. I think they'll have just enough to stay up. But yeah, they've been poor, man. Tottenham. They have been very poor. But I don't think it's coincided with Son leaving. I think this was always coming. Yeah, big up Titanium, man. Big up yourself. I'm not even gonna read that, man. No point. No point. So, Clockenders, what are you going for tomorrow then? What's your prediction for tomorrow? I've said 2-0. Fitz has said 2-1. Guys, let us know what you think of tomorrow, the Carabao Cup. What do you reckon the result? We win, but it'll be a close affair. Okay, but what's the score though? What score you going with? Be brave. Come on, be brave. What are you going with? 3-0, 4-0 Arsenal, 6-0 Arsenal. What are you going with? In Korea, there's a rumor that Tottenham cannot be EPL anymore soon. Is it true? What do you mean? What, in terms of them getting relegated? I don't think Tottenham will get relegated. I think Tottenham will I think they'll stay up. But again, man, I don't know what they're gonna do in the summer, because yeah, their team's just lopsided, man, for me. Yeah. They bought a lot of players that really, are they even starters? I don't know. But yeah, they won't get relegated, Tottenham. They won't. I think they'll stay up. Guys, make sure we're smashing these likes. Let's get these likes up. Mods, make sure you're getting everyone to hit the likes. And again, if you're new in here and you enjoy the content, make sure you smash the like button as well. And make sure you sub to the channel. Guys, I'm only 40 away from 2K subs. So again, if you guys want to support the channel, make sure you're subbing if you're new in here. And make sure you're smashing the likes and get the channel more reach. And check out all the other content as well. Fitz reckons Spurs will get relegated. I know, bro. I know you said that before, man. I don't know, man. I think they'll stay up just. I think they'll have just enough to stay up, because I know Wolves are putting together some form, yeah, but I think they're too far behind. I reckon if there was another 15 games to go, I'd probably say Wolves probably get out of this, you know, because when last did Wolves get beat? That's the thing. But I think Wolves are down. I think Burnley will go down, and then you're looking at between Tottenham, Forest, possibly West Ham in there as well. So, but I think they'll stay up, man. I think they'll stay up. So you reckon they'll get done before the 90 clock enders, yeah? 2-1 Arsenal. Okay. Let's see. I reckon, yeah, whoever scores the first goal, I think they go on to win. Whoever scores the first goal. I think they'll score the first goal. 2-1 City. Yeah, I hear it. I'm going 2-0. I'm going 2-0. I think City get the first goal, yeah? And then I believe I think City get the first goal, And then I think the longer the game goes on, I think Arsenal are going to commit a lot of players forward. And I think City will catch them on the counter. And you know, one thing I'm going to say this as well, yeah, just going on to the team selection, yeah. I'll be looking at the team selection of what, because we know what Arteta's going to do. Arteta's going to play more or less the same lineup that he played against Bayer Leverkusen. You know, I think the only question mark, does Jurriën Timber make the lineup, or is he still injured? But he's going to play David Raya. He's going to play Hincapie at left back. He's going to play Saliba, Gabriel. Right back will either be Ben White or Mosquera. And I think if we're looking at Doku playing on the left, I think he might play Mosquera because of his physicality to deal with Doku. If Jurriën Timber can't make it. And you're obviously going to have Zubimendi, Rice, Eze, Saka. I think he plays Saka, Trossard, and Gyökeres. I think he plays, yeah. But I'll be more looking at City's lineup, yeah, because I'll tell you this, yeah. If Pep starts Semenyo and Doku together, I don't see them winning that game, because what he needs to do for me, yeah, is Ryan Cherky needs to play. And I think the way he needs to use either Semenyo or Doku is later on in the game when the legs are tired. You don't want to be playing Doku and Semenyo together against Arsenal, you know, because they got physicality and pace, and then you can't break through them. You know, play Cherky. You know, I think tomorrow's Pep needs to play, you know, well, obviously James Trafford's going to play, but Nunez, Ait Nouri. I'll play Ait Nouri. Ait Nouri's been good. You know, I think Nunez, Ait Nouri will be playing fullback. Guehi and... You know what's going to be funny, yeah? If he plays Guehi and Diaz or Guehi Kusanov. I think because of Kusanov's pace, it might be Kusanov. But then is he going to play Diaz for his experience, yeah? But in the midfield, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, I think, will be in there. And I think O'Reilly, I think that'll be in the midfield three. Cherky has to play for me on the right-hand side. And then the left-hand side, does he play Marmoush? Because Haaland's going to play through the middle. But is he going to play Marmoush, Semenyo, or Doku? That's the question. But I don't think he should play Semenyo on the right-hand side, Cherky on the bench, and then play Doku as well. Because I think Savinho will be on the bench as well. But I'll be looking at his lineup to see what he does. And that will tell me how this game's going to go. But I'm still going to say 2-0 City. Arsenal was under Spurs. We called them Arsenal. Yeah, listen, I hear it, man. They're still called Arsenal for me, man. But again, they're in the driving seat. But let's see what happens. Let's see. Personally, I think Spurs are banging trouble as their strikers struggle to finish their dinners. Who's their savior? Yeah, but listen, what I would say, man, as bad as their strikers have been this season, you know, their fans are going to argue that they're top of the league. They're in the Champions League quarterfinal, Carabao Cup final, and then in the next round, the FA Cup. That's all they're going to care about until they get humbled. So I hear it, but let's just see, man, because tomorrow is their ultimate test at the moment so far this season. This will be their big test so far. Because I've always said, yeah, if City win this game, that's gonna be telling for me come the rest of the season in the Premier League. Because now City only really have the Premier League to focus on. They've got to play Arsenal at home and they've got a game in hand. So I'm working with 3 points. And again, if they beat Arsenal tomorrow, then, you know, could this be a springboard for Arsenal come the rest of the campaign? This is what's going to happen to see what happens with them. Yeah, big up to Mojo King. Big up, man. Big up yourself. Hope you're well. Gutted we didn't get the win last night. Yeah, bro, I hear it, man. I hear it. But as I said, man, there's fans out there, yeah, that are just not having Michael Carrick. And again, the officiating yesterday was poor, but we shouldn't really be surprised, man. The officiating's been poor all season. It has. And the fact that the referee can give a foul against Maguire and send him off, but yet Ahmad's one's not a foul. Not to mention the guy that fouled Ahmad, you know, had a hand in the goal, had a hand in the penalty being given in the first place. Oh, sorry, had a hand in the goal that Ryan Christie scored. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, man, I was gutted, man. But I did say before the game I could see a draw, because I think Bournemouth at home, they're quite a difficult team to beat. They play decent football, but the fact that Liverpool have been beaten today, it makes the result not as bad now. You know, it's still an extra point ahead of Liverpool, and obviously Chelsea, I think, play Everton, which won't be an easy game. So it makes the draw yesterday not as bad now. So is what it is, isn't it? You know, but yeah, man, the refereeing's been poor this season. VAR, the whole thing's an absolute joke, man. Whole thing's an absolute joke. But as I said, I can't even be bothered to even get frustrated or angry, because it's been going on for too long, this whole debacle of a Premier League, man. The football, you know, the style of football, the officiating, everything's just shit, man. So yeah, it shouldn't really be a surprise, if I'm honest. Shouldn't really be a surprise. Guys, who is Spurs' next game in the Premier League? Who's Spurs' next game? Who they got? I'm pretty sure they got a tough game coming up. I can't wait for this game tomorrow. I'll be honest. I'm looking forward to this, because I would say, yeah, this is the penultimate game for Arsenal and for Man City tomorrow, because it's going to have a bearing on what goes on this season. Because if Arsenal get beat, you know, there's going to be you know, in the background, you know, there's going to be some doubt creeping into them. So I'm looking forward to it, man. 100% looking forward to it. Right, guys, we're going to wrap it up in a minute. As I said, yeah, make sure you come through tomorrow. We'll be live at 4:15 for the Carabao Cup final between Man City and Arsenal. And as I said, man, looking forward to this one, because I expect, you know, one way or another, it's gonna be fire tomorrow, man. Because if City win, boy, let's see. If Arsenal win, then you know that their fans are gonna keep talking. So let's see. Oh yeah, Spurs got Forest tomorrow. Okay, Spurs are at home. I think if Spurs win that, yeah, then I'm gonna say I can see them. I think that's them probably certain to stay up. So I think the momentum that will give them. I know they got tough games, but yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? Guys, any transfer news that you guys have that you've seen lately that you want to put in the chat? Any transfer news? I think come this international break, yeah, I think you're going to be getting a lot of stuff. Because obviously, you know, it's the last international window before obviously the summer transfer break. Obviously, World Cup coming up, so a lot of teams will probably want to try and get some business done. And you know what I'll say as well, yeah. The very fact that Baleba was on the bench today, and I know he came on, yeah, that's telling me even more now that he's coming to United. He's definitely coming to United, man. I'm 85% certain Baleba's coming United. Saw something about Greenwood and Barca. Hey, listen, do you know what? Yeah, Fitz, yeah. I was, you know, when I'm looking at Lewandowski replacement, yeah, and I'm looking at what's available, you know, it really should be, yeah, a Mason Greenwood, yeah. But because Greenwood is more of a right winger now, it's one of them things where the Mason Greenwood Barcelona talk didn't really make sense in that sense. It didn't really make sense because you've got Yamal there. And again, I know you're saying Greenwood's going to come to Barca as cover for Yamal. I don't believe that because they've got Rooney Bargaji there already. And Rooney Bargaji, the Swedish guy, is the cover for Yamal. I think if Barca are clever, yeah, they bring in Greenwood as the long-term replacement for Lewandowski. And I don't mean in terms of being like for like replacement, yeah, but someone that is a world beater for me. Because Mason Greenwood, when we talk about the best right wingers in the game, it's always Yamal and Elise, yeah. Greenwood's there as well. And the only reason why I haven't mentioned Greenwood with Barcelona is purely because Greenwood's playing as a right winger more or less now, yeah. But if they're looking at Greenwood, yeah, and they're going to try and play a fluid front three of Yamal, Greenwood, whether it's Rafinha, you know, whether it's a Rashford, I don't know, or whoever, yeah, then that could be something to look for. But I'm telling you this now, yeah, Mason Greenwood for me, he ends up at Barca, Madrid, or PSG this next season. I think he ends up at one of them teams next season. I'll be very surprised. I would love him back at United, but we know that's not going to happen. But I think he ends up at one of them teams. You know, so yeah, let's see what happens, man. But I definitely do think that yeah, we get 50%, of course, yeah. So but I think he ends up at one of them teams, man. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't. But if he went to Barca, playing with Yamal, you know, Pedri, yeah, listen, man, I'll definitely be tuning into Barcelona a lot more than the Premier League season, man, because yeah, that's something that I can definitely watch, man. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, no, I think yeah, he's not going to go to Barca as cover for Yamal. Like, don't be surprised if he plays with Yamal, because let's face it as well, yeah. I actually do think Yamal's long-term career, don't be surprised if Yamal ends up as a central 10 as well. I think it's unlikely at the moment because we know Barca play with the 4-3-3, or even now with Fermin Lopez playing as a 10. But if they was to get in a Greenwood, at least they'll have the option of playing Greenwood out on the right, you know, and Greenwood can also play as a 10 as well, you know, and you know, you could obviously do that as well, play Greenwood as a 9 if need be. But I think Greenwood now, you know, is more of a right winger, you know, which people probably would have saw before. Because obviously coming through at United, man, he was you know, even in the youth and the reserves, you know, was playing as a like a number 10 come striker, you know. So let's see, man. But he's definitely someone, man, that I think will be on the move. No doubt. No doubt. But guys, listen, I'm going to wrap it up anyway. Big up to yourselves for coming through each and every time. Make sure you smash the like button on your way out. Make sure you sub to the channel as well if you're new. And make sure you share the channel on all your socials as well. And we are going to be live tomorrow at 4:15 for a 4:30 kickoff for the Carabao Cup final between Man City and Arsenal. And yeah, man, it's going to be an interesting game. I just hope, yeah, it's an exciting game, because a lot of these games you look forward to and they always let you down. So yeah, let's see what happens. But yeah, for sure, man, it's going to be a game not to be missed because it's going to have a lot of ramifications for the rest of the season. And as I said, man, I think whatever team wins, you probably say that they're going to be, I would say, in the ascendancy to win the Premier League. You know, if City win, I can see City being focused on this. If Arsenal was to win, you'd probably say that the league title was wrapped up, you know. So it's going to be one of them games. But yeah, let's see what happens. But yeah, I'll be live tomorrow at 4:15 for the watch along between City and Arsenal. So yeah, see you guys there. Big up to the mods each and every time. Big up to all the newcomers. And yeah, let's see what happens, man. And yeah, one way or another, as I said, man, it's going to be interesting. And Clockenders, again, excited. Let's see if he comes with the same energy tomorrow, regardless of the result. Let's see. But guys, big up to yourselves. Have a good rest of the weekend. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.